Prime Minister Narendra Modi held extensive talks with the Bangladeshi Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, who concludes a two-day visit to India. Both the countries have discussed furthering defense ties, defense production, cooperation on counter-terrorism, management of border and other issues in their bilateral talks in New Delhi. Both the countries have exchanged several MOUs and agreements aiming at enhancing cooperation over several sectors. The agreements exchanged include a shared vision for India-Bangladesh digital partnership, which entails mutual commitments in digital collaboration as well. This is Sheikh Hasina's first bilateral meeting with the Indian Prime Minister after Prime Minister Narendra Modi won the third unprecedented term. What will be the outcome of these agreements, and how will these agreements strengthen the ties and shape the two countries in South Asia? Let's start off this conversation. Joining me on the telecast is Major General Dhruv Katoch. A response from you, sir, about a number of these topics that have been touched upon. And there has been the last visit that was made by Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, who was on a state visit to India to meet Prime Minister Narendra Modi, was in 2022. After that, it was the G20 summit where the visit was made by her. And then, of course, the Prime Minister's swearing-in ceremony where we found her presence to be essential. And now, after just a few weeks, it is Sheikh Hasina back in India, and the number of issues remain the same. Whether it is about the maritime cooperation, whether it is about digital cooperation, railway connectivity, or joint research and exploration in ocean sciences. So these remain the topic of continuous conversation and communication between both countries.
Thank you, Megha. Yes, and why they remain so is because these issues are vitally important to both the countries. Now, there is in a sense a great deal of dependency by Bangladesh on India simply because of geography. Now, there is a great deal of cooperation which can be carried out between the two countries. And you started off with the digital sphere, the digital partnership. I think that is going to be vital. But the point is, why now? Now, it is not something which has taken place now. It is an ongoing process. But why now? I think the importance is that both the leaders have won a resounding mandate in their respective countries. So they have a mandate now to go ahead with various economic and foreign policy initiatives, which I think is which has very aptly started now between India and the people of Bangladesh. Now, on the three fields, on digital partnership, I have got no doubts that this is going to be a game changer, especially for the people of Bangladesh. The strength of India's digital leadership in the world, and especially the way the digital ideas are being used in various fields in India, in commerce and otherwise. These are the things I think which can go across to Bangladesh, especially in terms of monetary transactions. On the field of defense cooperation, I think a great deal can be done. At the moment, defense cooperation is at a very at a minimal level, I will say. And a large part of the imports which Bangladesh does for its defense requirements is from China. Now, I have spoke many years ago in a meeting I had with the then Bangladesh High Commissioner. He very specifically told me, he said, we would love to buy arms from India, but India doesn't permit us to. I think all those things are changed now. That is going to be history. There is going to be a very robust arms cooperation between the two. And on certain fields, I think we are in a position to even take on joint production, which will assist both the countries.
Okay.
So this is one thing which I think can go up very well. And the last part is, as far as the maritime area is concerned, I think this is going to be something which is very important because Bangladesh will now join the Indo-Pacific cooperation, where we are aiming for an open, inclusive, resilient, and a rules-based order in the Indo-Pacific. Now, obviously, Bangladesh has been hesitant to join organizations like the Quad. But when we are looking into certain other organizations, Bangladesh, I think it will be on board, and it will assist both the countries to maintain maritime security in their respective domains. Megha.
Very interesting insights over there. And Ambassador Suresh Goyal, if you could also shed light, and particularly it's incidental that Sheikh Hasina will also be traveling to China after her visits gets done in India.
Mera, it's very interesting that you have mentioned Bangladesh's relationship with India and China in the same sentence. And I think that's an important thing for us to understand. Very often we have been, and I think rightly so, because it's a very interesting security metrics in the area where both India and China, they look to protect and they look to further entrench and ensure their own security interest. And that is where the two countries, they come in contest with each other in the Pacific and the maritime domain between India and Bangladesh is one of them. But coming to the issue of really Bangladesh, China, and India once again, really, I think Bangladesh does recognize, and the very fact that immediately after the election in India and Prime Minister Modi once again becoming the Prime Minister for the third time, and the elections in in Bangladesh, it's very interesting that Sheikh Hasina should take this visit to India immediately, with showing the primacy of India in that security matrix between India, Bangladesh, and China, as I say. If you look at the Bay of Bengal, the two countries which come immediately together in the maritime are India and Bangladesh.
I'll come back to you, Ambassador. There seems to be a network connection problem. Professor Madan Manaput, could you also continue with the same point as Ambassador was talking about? First of all, the domestic elections in Bangladesh have gotten over. Once again, Sheikh Hasina has been elected as the Prime Minister. And then you take a look at how the maritime cooperation between both countries is extremely important. And of course, there is a threat that is posed by China in the Indian Ocean region. Now, how does Bangladesh balance it out between both the countries?
Well, Sheikh Hasina spoke about 1971, and her family was personally involved. Much of her family was killed during the liberation struggle of Bangladesh from the Pakistan military. And I would like to point out, it's not just the United States. China gave wholehearted support to Pakistan. In fact, when India was intervening in Bangladesh together with the Mukti Bahini to help to ensure that this genocide stopped, the Chinese were frankly on the side of the Pakistan authorities who were committing that genocide. So that is a history which I think is going to be difficult to forget. I'm sorry to say that the Western world seems to be completely oblivious to such realities. The Western world at that point in time was firmly supporting Pakistan. Even where the genocide in Bangladesh was concerned, it was opposed to the Bangladeshi people getting freedom. And I'm afraid they've carried that kind of negative attitude to the Sheikh Hasina government as well. When the fact is the Sheikh Hasina government is way more moderate than the alternative, and Sheikh Hasina herself has gone very far, together with Prime Minister Modi. In fact, under these two prime ministers, you have seen a huge transformational shift in India-Bangladesh relations. We have a land corridor between India and Bangladesh, and that is helping both countries. We have much better relationships, and now it's been taken to a new level with talk of defense and security cooperation. So I'd like to say that we are natural partners. Bangladesh and China are not natural partners. They have been brought together mainly in default because of the attitude of the West, which frankly, whether it is concerning areas of Europe such as Ukraine or countries such as Bangladesh, it somehow acts in a manner that basically facilitates the expansion of Chinese influence. I can't really understand this, Megha.
I also have with me Prasanta Kumarshil. He is joining me from Bangladesh. Thank you so much, Prasanta. And let's hear it from you, what the Bangladesh view is in terms of our bilateral ties with your country.
Okay, thank you, Megha, for your very interesting topic you can just select actually. So actually, you know that in our country, our Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina is the 4th time and Narendra Modi is the 3rd time. So this is a very huge victory to the leader in South Asian belt. And also, actually, there is you know that the India and Bangladesh share the fifth largest border in the world. And that is the main point. And another point is that the Chinese hegemony, so actually this called in One Belt and One Road, that's called in VRI project. And you know that India also signed in the Indo-Pacific strategy that called in IPS strategy. So the concern is that these the bilateral issues. This is one kind of bilateral issues, but the point is happening. The issues come from China. The issues come from Myanmar actually. So this is the bilateral issues in a box. You can see that is in trade, commerce, and infrastructure development. But this is not a sector. People are talking about that. What's the role about in China and what's the role about in Myanmar, in Southeast Asia? Because you know that the very good relations in present time from India and Bangladesh, very wonderful and very historical actually in relationship India and Bangladesh. And actually, we are now actually working together in a security one, because in South Asian in perspective, you know that the security is a very tough issues in present time from the Indian side and also Bangladesh side, because of the very hostile situation in Myanmar. You know that the Bay of Bengal, and also in our very crucial island from San Martin Island. So there's lots of issues. I think from discussion from these. From bilateral issues from our Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina and also the Prime Minister of Narendra Modi is very good, very outstanding, and I think it's a very much crucial happening for the two nations. The people are very much benefited, because Bangladesh is a very much solid and very much particular friendship from the India.
Okay. Coming back to you, General Dhruv Katoch, talking about the fair weather friends that India has in the subcontinent, I think we can rely most on Bangladesh, because on one side you have Pakistan and Nepal, on the other you have Maldives, which has suddenly become strained over the past few months, ever since Muizu was appointed as the Prime Minister.
No, I think, when we are looking at the India-Bangladesh ties, I think they are very friendly as of now, and for the past decade or so, they have been very friendly. They have been on the upswing, and they will continue to grow. Our biggest fear is that, if there is a change in government in Bangladesh, how the new government will react. As of now, today, India has treated all parties, both the ruling party and the opposition parties. We don't interfere in their affairs. That is for the people of Bangladesh to choose their government. But there is certainly a concern within India that if the opposition comes into power, then they have got a certain radical sort of bent of mind, which may actually disrupt these ties. So that is one aspect. But I think now with both the governments, and I think the people-to-people connect is also very strong. So within on economic fields, I think there is going to be great cooperation. And as the two new governments have come in both the countries, they are going to take this forward. But more importantly, I think there is a security challenge to both India and Bangladesh now, and that is on our eastern borders. Now, especially you see on the Myanmar-Bangladesh border and on the India border with Myanmar, with the northeastern states. Now, there is a security challenge there, especially what is happening as of now with Manipur, which in my view has been a created problem. And on this particular aspect, Sheikh Hasina has already given a statement that there are foreign forces which are trying to create in problem in this area and trying to create what she called a Christian state. Now, whether that is factual or not, time will tell. But on the evidence on the ground clearly states that there is a problem on the ground. And I think now both India and Bangladesh are in a position to address it holistically as a unit.
Okay.
So on the security part, I think there is going to be great cooperation. And economically, I think it is to India's benefit that Bangladesh progresses economically at a very swift pace. The faster Bangladesh progresses, the lesser will be the problem for India. It is not the other way around. You see, we need a economically strong Bangladesh, and that will be to the benefit of India. That is not so when we are looking at the East, when we are looking at Pakistan. But with Bangladesh, I think it is certainly the case. Economically strong Bangladesh is in India's interest, and I think India will do everything to promote that interest. Megha.
Ambassador Goyal, when we also talk about the issue of Rohingya, and that there is the Citizenship Amendment Act that has been put into force in the country. There is also the NRC, where the state government of Bengal has continued to protest. In terms of the illegal immigration, and a large part of it that comes from Bangladesh, has there been any resolution that can be looked at for a solution that both ministers, both the leaders can have in this issue?
Mega issue of Rohingyas is a problem between India and Bangladesh. It is a problem which has originated in Myanmar. For whatever reason, this huge migration of Rohingyas, and it's an issue. My suggestion would be that it's an issue which is going to be protracted. It's going to take some time to resolve, but we should not really overplay the issue. We are in the conversations with the Bangladeshi people and authorities on this issue, on how to really resolve it. You mentioned CAA, you mentioned other, all those things will be there, in fact, in the statute books in India. But I think what we need to do really is keep the problems in mind, try and resolve them without overplaying those things, but focus on developing engagement with Bangladesh. And that engagement is immediately possible in economic areas, in technical areas, in security areas, where we have a huge commonality of interest. Now, like digital connectivity, it will build a kind of connectivity between India and Bangladesh, not just the countries, but people. They will benefit. And my take would be that once we go, for example, I would say there is a remaining issue of Tista River. Let us try and resolve those things, which basically will develop that connectivity and connection between the two countries. Let us face it, whichever is the government in Bangladesh, Bangladesh is going to remain both economically and security-wise and strategically important to us. It's our immediate neighborhood.
Okay.
The government there has been good to us. It will remain good to us. Whichever government comes, we will deal with it. But it's important to develop that engagement and connectivity to keep Bangladesh on our side. Mega.
Okay. Coming to Professor Madhav Nalapat and talking about the government that has been installed, fortunately, in favor of India as well. Sheikh Hasina has come back to power, but the exploitation of Hindus have taken place. The percentage of Hindus in Bangladesh has been shrinking alarmingly. Can there be cooperation between the two leaders in this aspect as well?
Well, Megha, the fact of the matter is that you cannot call yourself a democracy if you have a situation where the minority population in your country is being hounded in such a manner that it is fleeing across the borders in substantial numbers and fleeing to a neighboring country. It is important for Bangladesh also to ensure that this persecution of Hindus, the Hindu minority in Bangladesh, by radical elements of the population, stop. I think Sheikh Hasina is trying to work towards that purpose, but at the same time, the radicals are also trying to paint her as, in various hues. I mean, for example, at one time I remember there was talk about, electricity, don't buy electricity from India. It is Hindu power. I mean, it is absolutely ridiculous. Hindu power, Hindu water, what are we talking about? Power is power, water is water. But that was the extent to which religion was being brought in by these radical groups. And unfortunately, they have got a very strong support from China. Very strong support in technology, in terms of spreading their messaging. Very strong support in terms of funding and financing through a variety of means. And not only from China, from some parts of West Asia, which are not yet subject to the reformist influence. That is what we are seeing in Saudi Arabia under Mohammed bin Salman or in the UAE. So there are multiple problems that are facing the relationship. But yes, I agree that this issue of the very large influx of Bangladeshi, illegal immigration to India is an issue which is not going to go away at all. What is important is to ensure that radicalization in Bangladesh is slowed down, and that is very important for both Bangladesh and India. Don't forget who are the people who basically assassinated most of the family of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, the father of the present Prime Minister.
Yeah.
They're radicals. Radicalism is an enemy to everybody. And we just discussed about yesterday at Tajikistan that they have given up this full-length burqa and the niqab. And I think, that is a sign that they're embracing modernity. And that is completely in line with the tenets of Islam, which always enjoins a believer to have reflection, to have thinking, and to adjust to times as they are. So I think it's important to ensure that Bangladesh, the Bangladesh government do much more to address this issue of radicalization, because that is an issue that is plaguing them. And may I point out that these radicals are, whatever you do to basically, to try and satisfy their instincts, they are not going to be satisfied. They're not going to be satisfied until the Awami League government falls in Bangladesh, because they were opposed to the very creation of Bangladesh.
Yeah. Let's hear a perspective from Bangladeshi panelist who joins me also. Prasanta, how is the situation on the ground, and particularly with the radicalism that is on the rise in Bangladesh? In fact, there had been contrasting views and concerns that had been shared by the United States of America as well when the elections were on the anvil. So the ground situation, where on one side it is Sheikh Hasina that is being targeted by a country like United States, and on the other there are forces that are wanting to ensure that the Awami League government topples, and there is fundamentalism that rules Bangladesh.
Okay, thank you, Megha. You very notice that is in our country there is a zero tolerance. Actually, in our Prime Minister declared zero tolerance in terrorism. You know that terrorism is a worldwide problem. Basically, you see that Europe and also in USA and also in South Asian belt. Actually, you know that what the situation in West Bengal. There is lots of Islamic terrorism. Very flourishing actually in ISS, Lashkar-e-Taiba in India, and also in our country there is in Hirkatul Jihad, and lots of organizations. They are very flourishing their fundamentalism and extremisms to the right way, the pathway, the government and anti-government activities actually. So this is an issue actually, this is security issues, and also I think the two government actually in our country very strict about that kind of extremism, that kind of terrorism, and we are in very much, that we have very successfully controlled that kind of issues. You see that the last 10 years or 15 years, that is very much rashly actually in our country, and now the situation is very wonderful, very flourishing, and our Prime Minister very controlling these issues. Actually, he can just monitorize every point and issues. That the India is very much interesting that the issue, because Bangladesh is the role model. Bangladesh know how to control actually that kind of situation, and I can think the Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he can very engagedly know that he can choose the good partner actually in Bangladesh, Sheikh Hasina, because Sheikh Hasina is a very top class lady. He can know how can be changed and check actually the security issues, and also that the point is another. There is a transit issue. That in Bangladesh is a very much transit. India want to the transit from Bangladesh via transit. That also in Agartala and also in Assam and also in this in West Bengal. They can use the via in Bangladesh, and there's an essential goods and everything. So I can think at that time, if the situation is very much complicated, and the situation is very much out to the bound. So this is a very much good concern at all 2 years. I can think this is a very high time that from Bangladesh and India actually concern about the terrorism and concern about that kind of relations actually.
Absolutely. I thank all of you for joining me on the telecast and sharing your views on this very important subject. I'm out of time, and I thank my viewers for also joining us and watching this discussion. Thanks for watching.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.